16, what's good? What's good? What is good? You see me scrambling over here. Trying to scramble. Trying to make some things happen.
Into your heart and paralyze your thinking. And it's fail blind that we win. Keep money is the limits to the deep end. You're a shallow pond. There's emotional wisdom you need to paddle on. Take a dive in. Many jewels there. Your only interest is surface shit and fools there. Take your rightful place. Tear the rail in the sand. Get you right in the face. Divine feminine. Can't be suppressed. Shock is the energy that we manifest. We rule here. We the deadly tribe. Take a hit in this toxin and build a colony vibe. Peel away the cloak. Scrape away the scales. And see the truth of the lie behind all the things.
All right, peace. What's good, everybody? How you feeling? Dr. Sharita Yazid. Peace. Just how you doing? All right. All right. All right. Peace, everybody. Peace. What's going on, 16? Zaire, what's happening? Queen Kashiba Gaylord, what's up? Give me 1 second. I'm trying to get connected to the gram. Having trouble starting your video. Queen Muhammad Ali. Peace, Queen. It's good with you. Alright, well, the gram is going to come on late. Anyway, greetings, everybody. How y'all doing? Alright, in the divine name of Supreme Being, I want to greet everyone. Peace, 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 peace. Hotep, shalom, assalamu alaikum. Good evening. Alright, I'm your host, Professor Griff, for Sirius Mindz, for Serious Minds. Seriously, alright? The song in the background that you're hearing is my wife's song, of course, Miss Soleil. Under the Veil, which is the name of Under the Veil. Alright. Rashad Shabazz, peace. Dan, what's good with you? Alright. Sadiq, what's happening? Joe Terry, what's good with you? Get my bedtime medication. I hear you. Alright. Anyway, we got a few things we're going to talk about today. Of course, Black History, Black Women's History Month, not history, her story. All right, so hopefully y'all have a whole lot y'all want to bring to the table. All right. I want to thank all the supporters. All right, support this platform. This platform is kept alive by the people. Nolan Jackson, what's good with you? Peace of God. Peace, my beautiful wife, Miss Soleil. What's good with you? Peace, Queen. All right. If you'd like to donate to Serious Minds, of course, with the Cash App, $ Professor Griff, and of course, go to PayPal, www.paypal.me/Professor Griff Corp. And of course, you can go to my website, www.professorgriff.me. Hit the donate button. All right. This platform definitely, all right, stands on the fact that we are raising a vibrational pitch of our people into the thinking of the creator and the co-creator. All right. Standing on the shoulders of the ancestors and kneeling at the feet of our elders. Doing what's required for us to do in what we've been given by the creator. All right. So tonight we're going to be discussing Black History Month. All this week we're going to be discussing Black women in history. And with that said, we're going to dive in. We're going to talk about a little bit about some current events that's happening out there, what's going on. So just to keep myself up to speed on what's going on. All right. In the meantime and in between time, I want to thank, told the sister I was going to shout her out and thank her. Hold on. I'm not even sure she got the message. She probably at work or whatever. But Nanette Ayala, I have your books right here. I'm sending them out tomorrow. I have analytics, 20 years of conversation and interviews with Public Enemy's Minister of Information, Professor Griff. I have the Acapella Revolution for you. All right. I have the Psychological Covert War on Hip Hop for you. And Symbology for you. I'm going to put them in the mail tomorrow. All right. Shout out to everyone that's ordered the Warriors Tapestry. I got word from not the company that I ordered them from. I took an L on that money. I've ordered some books to have made from a friend of mine who owns a print shop, and he's going to help me fulfill the orders that's already came in so we can get it and satisfy all of those people that ordered it in November, December, the end of last year. I'm sending y'all out first. All right, so, but I'm going to get all of the orders filled in a minute. Whenever the other company come around, that's when I'll deal with that situation. But in the meantime, I can't keep y'all waiting. While you are waiting, I'm going to give y'all a free class, and I'm going to give you the ebook. All right, so let's do it. But Nanette Ayala, thank you very much for your order, and I am going to get this out to you immediately. All right. Thanks to everyone though that have supported this platform and that have bought and purchased the Warriors Tapestry. All right. All right. We're going to talk about a few things, and tonight I want to dive right in. I want to talk about some things that are swirling around, not only the internet, but in the news concerning. All right, peace, Rod. What's happening with you? All right, hope that situation is panning itself out, Rod. The Ethiopian plane crash. All right, so there's just a few things. And Sole, I did get a chance to kind of gloss over the article that you sent, but since you and I was just having that conversation, I said that was very interesting that you was able to see that. And it's real. Just something I want to briefly mention tonight, not go into it in depth, but briefly mention it tonight. All right. So the Ethiopian plane crash, there's a lot of things. First, of course, you'll know some of the people that I'm connected with out there. First of all, we should all send some positive energy to those that family members that have lost their loved ones in that horrific plane crash. No one deserves to die in that manner. All right. So we offer our condolences, our energy, our prayer, and our positive energy to see that the Creator see those family members through. And we never know how people cope with, those kind of situations. All right. But they're going to need some assistance. They're going to need some positive energy. And they're going to need us to handle that situation on this side of the water, because there are some of their relatives over here. They're going to need us to support them and handle that in a manner and how it should be handled. It should be handled very delicately. So they said, love to my brothers and sisters in Ethiopia. So we have to handle it very delicately. All right. Some people have written me off as a conspiracy theorist. I don't prescribe to that. But if you take both of those, that concept and both of those words and put them under a microscope, there's nothing crazy about the concept. All right. If you really want to look at it for what it is. But so I'm not this conspiracy theorist, but there are some things that make a red flag go up, like the whole idea of the 311, the whole idea of it happening at 11:33. The whole idea, originally they said it's in the news, 33 nations will be affected by it. And so they've thrown these numbers out there. And of course, if you study numerology and if your antenna go up, it's like, wait a minute now, This sounds like some occult kind of stuff that's happening. You understand what I'm saying? It sounds like some blood ritual, some blood sacrifice. And then the whole idea of the 737, and then 157 157 people, experts, travelers are questioning Boeing's 737 MAX 8. So the numbers are there, and it's like, wow. You understand? You can't help but to think that way. So I'm not the conspiracy theorist. I'm not going to say, I even heard one person say this is a false flag. I'm like, people are now, and you can see the faces of the people that had family members that died in a plane crash. And for someone to come on and be bold enough to say that this is a false flag, is that the real site of the crash, and all of you pouring salt on a wound, man. Block boy, what's good with you, bro? So we need to be mindful of how we handle these situations and handle people that are grieving right now, you know. And listen, we just be compassionate. All right, show some compassion. Be compassionate. Can we at least do that? All right. Let's not jump to conclusions. I can see if these individuals have put in work, went behind the scenes, interviewed people, put the numbers together, brought up the research. I say, okay, even with that, handle it with kid gloves. Handle it with care. Like you would want someone to handle you if you lost your loved ones. All right. What I can't take hearing is the loss of babies, man, and children. It's hard for me to kind of wrestle with that. All right. So, as authorities continue to investigate the crash of the Ethiopian Airlines and the flight that went down right after takeoff, killing 157 people, experts and travelers are questioning whether the Boeing 737 MAX 8 planes should still fly. And I heard today on the news that they grounded all of the ones in the United States. Several airlines around the world have grounded them after this. The second major crash involving a 737 MAX 8 is less than 6 months. So here we go, 6 months ago, the same type of plane crashed. All right. So it's like almost back to back, because you don't get with this frequency plane crashes. All right. FAA have declined to ground the jets, and American Airlines and Southwest are still flying them. If you are booked on one and are worried, you don't have a lot of good options. All right. That's basically what these airlines say, go, especially after the fear that they've put in people after 9/11. People operate from the basis of fear. So people now are shook and paranoid. And you're not allowed to question FAA authorities or American Airlines or Southwest Airlines. All right. This is what the overall prevailing kind of attitude that they push upon the American people. You're not allowed to question them about anything. About them nasty ass peanuts on the damn plane, or them cookies, or that watered down orange juice. You can't question them about anything. I'm just saying. Meanwhile, we're learning more about the victims of this global tragedy. I'm glad they're writing it as a global tragedy because the insensitivity of some of the news people had the nerve, especially on this side of the water. When you look at global news, you can do your comparison, but on this side of the water, they never mention any black people that died in the crash. It's though only white people died. All right, so we have to understand that dynamic. All right, as you'll often hear me say. All right, you following me? 21 victims were UN staffers headed to an environmental summit in Kenya. The flight from Addis Ababa and Nairobi was taken by UN personnel. So often it was known as the UN shuttle. One victim, a California man, was traveling with his brother just weeks before the birth of his first child. Then there was a Greek man who missed the ill-fated flight by mere minutes, arriving at the gate just after the boarding ended. And it just says, for the latest on the crash, and read more about the victims. All right. We always, when we see stuff and hear stuff like this, we always got to look at, of course, if you're looking through the occultic lens at this particular thing, all right, know and understand, we have to kind of keep in mind this conspiratorial view of what history really is. All right, please keep that in mind. So now the thing that adds fuel to the fire. So Soleil, when you sent me the article, and the picture in the article was that of a passenger's passport at the scene of the Ethiopian Airlines crash. All right, it's like, well, wait a minute now. How do people perish? Plane blow up, can't hardly find a piece of the damn plane, but you see a passport. They find a passport. It kind of shakes me to the core sometimes. So on Sunday morning, an Ethiopian Airlines jetliner crashed shortly after leaving Bole International. Am I pronouncing that right? Bola or Bole? Somebody help me out with that. International Airport in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia's capital, en route to Nairobi, Kenya, the capital. Nairobi, the capital of neighboring Kenya. Minutes after takeoff, the Boeing 737 MAX. Now, basically the same model they're saying that went down in Indonesia several months ago. Lost contact with air traffic controllers soon after the aircraft crashed. All 157 people on board Flight 302, including the crew, died. Indonesia and Kenya. Some people have sent me information about, Brother Griff, you got to look at the surrounding circumstances and extenuating circumstances on a political level surrounding Indonesia and Kenya. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm all right, but I'm not jumping to any conclusions. I'm not speculating. We need to go on actual facts and handle this with kid gloves, like I've always said. All right, Monique, absolutely correct. They can take control of an airplane, like they can take control of your car. All right. Most Negroes that run their mouth on YouTube, they've taken control of their mind with mind control, so we know it worked. All right. Let's not fool ourselves. All right. We've had years and years of this, dealing with 9/11 and uncovering the conspiracy centering around 9/11. So we know the United States government is capable. We know Britain is capable. England is capable. France is capable. All right. We know these people are capable of pulling this off in conjunction with all the other countries, all right, that form this little alliance that they have. Canada, it might be Italy, and a few other countries. All right. So it says, according to the list shared by Ethiopian Airlines following the crash, these passengers hail from 35 countries. Originally, it was 33, which led into and gave credence to the whole idea of this conspiratorial view of this plane crash that people was calling a false flag. All right. So when you start talking about 11:33, all right, when you talk in the morning, when you start talking about 3:11, when you start talking about 33 countries, and you can go on and on and on and on and on. All right. Okay. So now, several nations have suffered more than 5 casualties, among them Kenya, Canada, Ethiopia, China, Italy, and the United States, France, United Kingdom, and Egypt. In the hours following the initial reports, the corners of Twitter, WhatsApp, Facebook frequented by African users were filled with shock and horror, mourning the disbelief. The crash seemed senseless and its human toll devastating. Brothers and sisters, keep in mind, I'm going to repeat myself. Handle this with kid gloves. Do not jump to conclusion and stop putting information out there that's false. All right? You have to be factual because you're handling and dealing with the surviving members now of these families. All right? So we have to be very factual. But in the aftermath of the tragedy, many Western media outlets reported the news with unevenly rationed compassion. Some stoked unfounded suspicion about the caliber of the airline itself. Others stripped their reporting of emphasis on Africa, almost entirely framing the tragedy chiefly in terms of its impact on non-African passengers. And that's a clever way to say it. That's cute. Most of y'all don't even know what the hell I just said. Seven, what's up, man? The nations that reported this in their respective countries, you would expect them to handle this with compassion. Human life is human life. But if you're watching the news, you think that only white people died. And this is what we mean when we start talking about the core of racism, white supremacy, and how it works. You would think that with this kind of situation, the degree of compassion would far supersede the whole idea of the notion someone's trying to be racist in this, in reporting the news. But no, it's at play here. All right? On a broadcast on the Turkish channel TRT World, for example, the British anchor Maria Ramos asserted that the Ethiopian Airlines had poor safety records historically. A baseless claim that the British aviation analyst Alex Mansour on a progressive airline. All right, on a progressive airline. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Oh, thanks, J1. Osiris, what's good with you? On a progressive airline, and most people were starting to look at this particular airline with the caliber of pilots that they have as one of the safest. So I don't know where she pulled that, what part of her ass she pulled that from. All right. Maria Ramos, you should be ashamed of yourself. Talking about the poor safety record historically. All right. Which was a baseless claim that the British aviation analyst Alex Mansour challenged on the air, even after Ramos suggested that that a 1996 hijacking attempt made the African airline categorically unsafe. When black people get to that point, there's a phrase that we say. Can somebody put it up for me? It's 2 words. If you black and you on here, then you know what I'm saying. Can y'all put it up for me, please? You know, when black people get to that point and we look at somebody, we be like, look. Anyway, so when you talk about, I'm diverting now from the article. This is me. I'm not reading this. When you talk about categorically in a historical context, which airlines are unsafe because of hijackings, wow, we could do that research. We truly can. And it wouldn't be any of these airlines. Thank you. Y'all know what I'm talking about. DJ Remarkable, thank you. AKA Make a Move. All right. So, I'm saying, come on, y'all. Come on. Categorically unsafe historically? Anyway, Mansour has also contextualized Ethiopian Airlines record by comparing it to that of American and European carriers such as United Airlines, Air France, Air America, American Airlines, and a few other companies. On Twitter, the Financial Times East African-based reporter pondered in a now deleted tweet whether questions may well be asked about the pace of the carrier's rapid expansion since 2010. They were growing. They were competing with the big boys. All right? And this chick now comes on talking, Ms. Ramos come on talking about it's categorically unsafe because of one attempted hijacking. Someone came on there with a spitball and a straw and tried to hijack the plane. All right? And got that work put on them, so it didn't work. So now all of a sudden, this chick comes along talking about categorically, as far as history is concerned, it's an unsafe airline. I'm not being insensitive, but let me say this. Let my ass be on a goddamn plane and somebody pull out a goddamn box cutter talking about you about to hijack a plane with a goddamn box cutter. I'm taking my damn seatbelt off. I'm unwrapping it and whipping your ass. You ain't hijacking a goddamn thing. You better wait till we land and I get off. You understand what I'm saying? When I heard that story about some dude with some box cutters, I faced Negroes in the hood with more than that. A damn box cutter. You got to come better than that. Now, I can see if you had them nasty ass cookies and them peanuts in your hand trying to hijack the planes. I'm like, look, okay, you got it. All right, stand down, y'all. But a box cutter? Nah, bro, you got to come better than that, man. I'm slapping last week's piss out of your ass. You run up on me with a box cutter on a plane talking about, nah, that ain't happening. No, you got to come better than a box cutter. So, Miss Ramos, we don't know what the hell you talking about. Anyway, questions may well be asked about the pace of the carrier's rapid expansion since 2010. Despite acknowledging that the reason for the crash remained unknown. I read earlier today that they found the black box. All right, I've seen the airplane people, analyst people, the flight people and the engineers come out and So they're analyzing which way the wind was going and the speed and all this kind of stuff. Not my field. I know when people like Maria Ramos are trying to blow smoke up somebody's ass, but I'm saying, all right. Elsewhere, Western publications engaged in selective reporting about the deceased. Selective reporting. Washington Post, for example, led its homepage coverage Sunday with a headline that informed readers only that 8 Americans among the 157 people killed in the Ethiopian Airlines crash. Only 8 Americans. That's it. So nobody else died. Peace, Lord Swar. What's good with you, bro? So nobody else died. 8 Americans. That's it. So that, in a way, that tends to say to me that you still don't care about black lives. Black lives lives still don't matter. All right? Where is the compassion? All right? You could say 157 people perished. 32 Kenyans, X amount of Italians, X amount of people from Britain, blah, 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 whoop, from Egypt, whatever. And we had 8 of our own that died, blah, 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 and hear their names and our hearts and our prayers go out, yada, yada, yada. Look, man, don't come on my damn page talking about why is it always got to be a black and white thing. We should be asking the question. You should be asking that question to them. As a matter of fact, get your ass off my damn page. Thank you. We talking about having compassion and reporting the news, all right, building this as a news source where we can get and speak directly to the people so we could begin to unite as the human family and begin to have compassion. And you come on here twisting your... I said I was going to be nice for the rest of this year in my movie trailer voice. Welcome to Sirius Mindz. This is Professor Griff. Stay your lame ass off of my platform. I'd really appreciate that. Thank you. Meanwhile, back at the ranch to our regularly scheduled program. The Washington metropolitan area has lost the largest population of Ethiopian descent outside of the country itself. In a tweet about the national background of the deceased, the Associated Press, AP, listed 8 nations affected by the crash. 8 nations. I wonder who the 8 nations are. Can you guess? Yeah, keep your racism hat on for a minute. Keep your racism shades on for a second. Who are the 8 nations that you think they mentioned? See, but this is what we're talking about. When we try to undergird, all right, the notion that all white people are racist, all right? Truly. Let me put this back in the stand. All right. That's one. Hold on for a second. They won't even let me back on. All of a sudden now you checking the connection. Boy, these people. All right. Anyway. Yeah, this is getting ridiculous. This thing is I'm getting knocked off like. Anyway, let me finish this. The Washington metropolitan area has the largest population of Ethiopian descent outside of the country itself. In a tweet about the national background of the deceased, the Associated Press listed 8 nations affected by the crash. Not one of them countries mentioned in the AP's list is populated by Black Africans. Not one. So there's a mindset now. Not the color of the skin, but there's a mindset now. All right? There's a vibe, there's a spirit, there's a mindset, there's a thinking, there's an agenda happening at these places. But because you're Ethiopian and you died in a plane crash on an Ethiopian plane coming from Ethiopia to Kenya, you don't get mentioned. I don't care how many Ethiopians there are in America. That's a shame. Ethiopians should get mentioned. First of all, they're humans. And then the fact that if it's news, report the news. Now, one of the countries mentioned in the AP's list of is populated by Black Africans. So the list, Black Africans, Alex Little, thank you, sis. The list that the AP mentioned, none of those places that were mentioned are populated by Black Africans. This despite the fact that Kenya topped the list off of the deceased with 32 and 9 Ethiopians were on board. On CNN and BBC News, the presence of American and British nationals, respectively, is what drew the narrative prominence. I was having a conversation with my wife and we both agreed if white people weren't put at the top of the list and pushed out in front, it probably would have never made the news. France, England, Spain, Portugal, the Netherlands, and Dutch. I'm not sure if that's the list. Ethiopian Airlines Flight ET302 also went down just minutes after takeoff. The aircraft registered airline registration ETA AVJ first flew in October 2018, according to the flight tracking website. So the CNN and the BBC, see the alphabet boys. The presence of American and British nationals, respectively, is what drew the narrative prominence. In a brutal irony, the Nigerian writer, Pius, I can't pronounce his last name, the author of You're Not a Country, Africa was among those on the flight. Wow. For many African readers, on other black people across the diaspora, it is perhaps unsurprisingly that the Western media outlets would fail to report on a tragedy and devastating as the Ethiopian Airlines crash as first and foremost an African tragedy. If it's an African tragedy, say it is. Don't act like the lives on the plane, the African lives on the plane didn't matter, as though there were only 8 white Americans on the plane. In October, in October last year, a Lion Air Boeing 737 MAX went down shortly after takeoff from Jakarta, Indonesia, killing all 189 people on board. First and foremost, an African tragedy. Both the impulse and the question, the largest African air carriers, credibly, and the hyper-focus on the Western passengers are consistent with the pervasive, long-running Western disdain for or simply inability to empathize, with people of African descent. Since the advent of the transatlantic slave trade, Africa has been treated largely as a repository for the Western world's fears. I said that the other night. And during the colonial era, as the site of Europe's most dangerous and banal desires. You know I'm going to have to look that word up. BANAL. Africa's residents and descendants then are more often portrayed as threats rather than as people. When they think about you on sight, you're a threat. Dr. Frances Cress Rosen was right in her definition of racism, white supremacy. Sitting at the subconscious level, this is what white people think about you. They're safe at the BBC. They're safe at CNN. But yet when they write about you, they don't care because they don't consider your life a human life. You're subhuman. "16 said this story was reported 2 hours ago. So let's understand the dynamic and what's being played out right here. So I can see why these particular things give birth to the rise and the continuation of the notion, all right, that what Elijah Muhammad said about white people were true. If not, the brave white people need to step up and step out to condemn this kind of reporting, all right? Consider the recent New York Times reporting on the January terrorist attack in Nairobi, during which 21 people were killed. The outlet's first article about the assault on the luxury hotel and office complex in Kenya's capital was tweeted with a photo of 3 dead Kenyan men, their bullet-riddled bodies slumped over chairs on the hotel's veranda. Is that any way to report human beings being slaughtered in a terrorist attack? Can you imagine going online and you seeing your uncle riddled with bullets, bleeding out? The photo of the deceased men were also the lead image on the article's page. This was a tone-deaf decision that magnified the damage of the initial tragedy by failing to account for the image's psychological impact. Listen, you foolish Negroes that have sent me messages today, they're not going to show You dead bodies strewn all over the place. It's not gonna happen. I mean, where's your head at? Come on, y'all. No. I know we're supposed to be talking about Black women's history. Give me a couple of more minutes and then we can pay homage to our sisters. All right? The photo drew swift backlash, particularly from Kenyan readers and and others with ties to the continent, who noted that the Times frequently covers violent crime in the United States and Europe without posting gruesome images of slain victims. You're absolutely correct. Because you see, it's psychological warfare. Psychological warfare. They want you to get used to seeing Black bodies riddled with bullets, so you become numb to it. And it's like that with most young Black people in America today. You see a dead body out, it's like, oh man, all right, yo, what happened to dude? And they keep on walking. They step over homeless people. Desensitized. You're absolutely correct, Alex. But rather than remove the photo or remove the disturbing photo, the Times published a conversation with two editors about the decision to share it. Wow. One acknowledged that there are people in the newsroom who felt in retrospect that we shouldn't have run the Nairobi photo, and said that the Times can do a better job of having consistent standards that apply across the world, right across the board. You would never show white bodies like that. Hey, Griff, did you get my message? I sent something that should have awareness on what is happening. Email it, seriousmindsinfo@gmail.com. In this case, as the frequent proliferation of videos and photos of Black people killed by police in the United States of America, and of Africans drowning in the Mediterranean during the attempt migration to Europe, the most common justification for sharing what's this word? Macabre imagery is that the image might spur an otherwise unfamiliar viewer into action, or at least into feeling. Well, start with white people then. Or just have equal footing right across the board. You are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father you shall do. Macabre, that's not what it says. It's M-A-C-A-B-R-E. I know what macabre is. But yeah, it's not what it says. Whether that sentiment manifests and is condescending, pity, or more full-throated empathy, the effort to enlighten unfamiliar readers takes precedence over the psychological response that these sorts of images elicit from their directly affected groups, including the families of the deceased. In other words, to hell with y'all. We putting this picture up anyway because we just want to put the damn picture up. Dale Dixon, that's not what NWA said. And if you're trying to be politically correct, bruh, stop. These absent consideration emerged from the troubling history in their 2016 book, In the Wake of, or Blackness and Being. All right. The Tufts University professor Christina Shaw argued that Black people in America and around the world exist in a state of non-being. Wow. That the specter of slavery has rendered black pain and black death fundamentally incomprehensible to the world. Living in the wake, living in the wake means living the history and present of terror from slavery to present as the ground of our everyday black existence. Meaning white people have to deal with it every single day. Three decades of coverage, how it shaped the view of the world. From someone's typewriter and how they write about black people. And how they use code words in the language of racism, white supremacy, and how they speak to one another past your consciousness to get you to understand articles like this. That we're only concerned with white life. Black lives matter, don't matter. Anyway, what do y'all think about this? I'm not at the end of the article, but what do y'all think about this? Let's see if I can get back on IG. Black people to accepting. Black people to accepting. What do y'all think about it? 16, what do you think about it? The idea of stepping to the forefront and having some human qualities and having some basic human quality. You would think they wouldn't put of black bodies riddled with bullets on the front page of an article when we never see white bodies riddled with bullets. But the article that I'm reading from, I've saw the whole passport thing before with 9/11 after doing extensive research on that. All right. Hannah Giorgis, Giorgis, staff writer at The Atlantic. Hannah Giorgis. Look the article up. It's called The Western Erasure of African Tragedy. All right. There it is. Paul Scott, what's good with you, bro? Let's understand this dynamic. And let's be real. Let's have some compassion. And let's step up and begin to get other people in the human part of this part of the human family. Let them know that if you're going to remain part of this family, you're going to have to step up aspects of what we consider the basic human qualities. And that's having compassion for other people. Else we're all not going to be able to fit in the elevator. Trust me, we're not. All right? Okay. The Western Erasure of African Tragedy. Griff, they are disagreeable by nature to the core. The elites are not humanitarian. They're not human. Okay. All right. But those of us that are on the front lines and do have this conversation, regardless of what they are, that shouldn't determine how we conduct ourselves with one another. and how we handle these kind of situations. All right, what they eat ain't gonna make me fat. I am not trying to become the demon and the devil that I'm fighting against. I'm gonna say that again. I'm not trying to become the demon that I'm fighting against. If they're handling the crash of an Ethiopian airline and they're handling and only talking about the death of white people, but yet when it comes to a black story, they're actually putting black people on the cover, black bodies on the cover riddled with bullets, that in and of itself should let you know the mindset of these people. All right? Until you allow other colors to come to the table and for us to have meaningful dialogue, a lot of this conversation is going to sound like it's a black and white thing. Trust me, it's going to sound that way. But let me say this. If I'm talking to black people on a black show, because I live on a black street, yeah. Why shouldn't it sound? I'm just curious. What else should it sound like? Should I have a different backdrop with a suit and tie on, speaking the King's English? Yahir, I don't know what your name is. PDI. You give me the solution. The solution lies within the self for the self. If you want to share what you think the solution is, or a solution to a global issue, all right, of racism, white supremacy, then you tell me. Yahir, we're going to wait on your answer. Because the people like Yahir don't, or fail to understand or grasp the concept, all right, that our ancestors are part of our family. And our ancestors have left us, and our elders are still walking among us that have the solutions. Ain't no sense in reinventing the wheel. Amos Wilson done laid it out. Here's one perspective. White logic, religion, Bible, Qurans are manuals and methods for creating ignorant psychopaths and a sensitive sociopath. Wow. Okay. I'm going to process that. A little bit above my pay grade, but yeah, I'm going to process that. Help me out. They're playing a non-stop movie for us for a long time. I say get up and go get some popcorn, man, and sneak into another movie. All right. Bird Box. Thanks, 16. Yeah. All right. All right, brothers and sisters. Just to let everybody know, I will be in Jacksonville, Florida on the 31st. Jacksonville, Florida on the 31st. Hold on. Jacksonville, Florida. I will be there on the 31st, myself and Scott Whitaker. All right. The Sankofa 360/720 Studios Group presents Veganism. Has it ever sustained any traditional culture? Veganism, has it ever sustained any traditional culture? Myself, Professor Griff, and Dr. Scott Whitaker. All right, wealth building, wealth, health. All right, with health, pardon me, wealth building with health. The Masjid El Salam, 1625 North Pearl Street, Jacksonville, Florida. All right, the event is Sunday, March 31st. There's a book signing at 12 p.m. and the lecture at 1. All right. For tickets and info, www.salammasjid.com. Salammasjid.com. Myself and Dr. Scott Whitaker. You know Scott Whitaker. He wrote the book Medicine. All right. I'll be signing my book, The Warrior's Tapestry, there. Inshallah. All right. Jacksonville, Florida. So if you know anybody in Jacksonville, tell them to meet me there. Let's make it happen. Myself and Scott Whitaker. All right. And y'all know the run-ins for the rest of the week. I mean, the rest of the couple of months. Newark, New Jersey, April 7th. Myself, well, Soleil speaking. I'm hosting, all right. On the 6th, Soleil speaking at Dragon Academy in Lanham, in the DMV area. And I'm speaking in Capitol Heights at Everlasting Life at 6 o'clock. Soleil's thing is at 2:30. All right. After that, I'll be in Dallas, Texas on the 20th. And then before that, I'll be in Philadelphia with Mark Lamont Hill, who used to be on CNN. I got a lecture at his spot, Uncle Bobby's place. Look that up. I'm getting all of these flyers done now. I'm gonna post them on IG, Facebook, and I'm gonna do a show where I can show you all the flyers so we'll know the run-ins, and I'll put it up on my website. All right. Lanham is sold out. Oh, Soleil just sent me a message. Sorry, sisters. It's sold out. Catch the next one. Soleil on May 8th will be at Lawrenceville Highway at Go Vegetarian Restaurant at 6 o'clock. All right. Go up on her page or go on IG and get the details. I think it's going to be up in the next few days. All right. It's Professor Griff, y'all. I love y'all to life. I got to go. Thanks for all of the donations. I really appreciate that. Thanks for everyone for tuning in. Promise you tomorrow we're going to get to the Black women in history. I'm sorry this talk took so long. Sometimes when it's on your mind, we have to go in and have this particular discussion. Opio, Lumumba, Sakona, Professor Griff will be here. Yeah, tell Opio. Well, didn't Opio move back to the West Coast? Tell him to come on out, man. All right. I love you all to life, man. All right. This is Professor Griff for Serious Minds, seriously. All right. Peace. Anybody that gave a donation, please email me at seriousmindsinfo@gmail.com. That's seriousmindsinfo@gmail.com. How else am I going to get y'all the information? If you order the Warriors Tapestry, I will have it in my hands on Monday. I promise. All right. As they say, word is bond and bond is life. And I'll give my life before my word shall fail. All right. All right. Love you all to life, man.
Under the spell of what people
Peace.
call beautiful, and lives a broken and empty soul. There's a whole lot of pretty faces all around the world, but that's only the physical. I'll never truly know if someone's beautiful until you look under the veil. Under the veil is tales, lies, and secrets. Into the heart and pales dies just seeking. But what you thinking is veil, blind and bleak when it's your mind and your soul that needs to be deepened. See beauty stand deep. You're a shallow pond. There's an ocean of wisdom you need to paddle on. Take a dive in. Many jewels there. Your only interest is surface shit and fool's fame. You're a goddess. Take your rightful place. Tear the veil and stare a picture right in the face. Divine feminine. Can't be suppressed. Shock is the energy that we manifest. We move here. We the deadly drive. Take a hit of this tasha and build a collie vibe. Peel away the cloak. Scrape away the scales. And see the truth of what lies behind all the dark veils. Who you trying to be? Cause the yachtman is blanketed like a canopy. Antithetical, saying that you real when your identity lies in all that you don't reveal. Third eye blind, eyes to contact, so you can open the lotus up like a compact. Become an offering, something more to give than the physical body that can't forever live. Rooted in passion, before the right cause. Spiritual wisdom and knowledge that make you have pause. Then let it transmute, metamorphosize. The truth of awakening right before your eyes. Perception, the real magic. For you to miss all this glory, it would be tragic. So get you clear in the veil. try.